Hi guys, this is Mel. So sorry for the long wait, but today is September 10th, 2016, and I'm here to talk about The Vampire Diaries, specifically my top 5 favorite moments of Season 7. So quickly guys, the last video I did was about the San Diego Comic-Con panel for The Vampire Diaries back in July, which they revealed Season 8 would be their final season. Also, later on within the last month or so, it has been revealed that Season 8 is going to be only 16 episodes. We have Paul directing, we have Ian directing, and we have Julie Plec directing the series finale. So, there's that as well. I'll mention a bit more at the very end though, but so gonna try to do this video in 15 minutes. Hopefully it's a little less, but basically it's just me telling you guys what my top 5 favorite moments of Season 7 was. So big spoiler alert, because if you haven't watched the whole season, then chances are I'm going to spoil it, because while not every episode is obviously going to be mentioned for obvious reasons, there will be spoilers. I have some at the beginning of the season, I have some at the very end of the season, so just keep that in mind. But let's start the clock at 15 minutes, and let's begin. So what was my 5th favorite moment of Season 7? And I gotta say that is episode 7-11. Funny, right? And called Things We Lost in the Fire. Reason why I like this episode was because it brought on the return of Tyler Lockwood. Specifically, he came back for Alaric's baby shower, and I really find that pretty funny because he took part in the very cliched baby shower games, which was kind of funny because you don't really think that Tyler's going to do something like that, but then you see him blindfolded with like one of those really baby onesies that have a hood. He's blindfolded by that, and he's tasked to put a diaper on a baby doll, and he fails tremendously. I think he's the one that has the head of the doll popping off. So it was pretty funny, that moment as well. Also, what I liked about this episode, because of Tyler's return, is because of his interaction with Damon, who is pretty much insisting that Tyler bring him to Elena. Because the last time we saw Tyler was when Damon pretty much gave Tyler Elena's coffin, telling him it's better if she stays with you, because if she's with Damon, it's not going to feel like 60 years. It's going to feel like he's stuck in the moment and he's never going to get her back. So pretty much Damon, who has just gotten out of his hell in the Phoenix Stone, is pretty much forcing Tyler to give him back Elena. And in doing so, though, we see Elena being burned by Damon. Thankfully that wasn't really her, but for Damon in that moment, it really looked like he was burning her. So there's that. Also, because of that, though, he has been haunted with hallucinations of Henry from his time back in the war, in the Civil War. So we got to see Henry again as well. And also, I remember in this episode that we got to see a bit more of Bonnie's friendship with Nora, the heretic. We first saw glimpses of it in the Christmas episode, and then we see it a bit more in this episode, from what I remember briefly. So I really liked that, and I actually at one point wanted something more to happen between the two of them, just to see how that would work. So there is that. Moving on, 4th favorite moment of the season for me has to be the previous episode, 7-10, titled Hell is Other People. And this is mainly because this is the episode that focuses on Damon. Where was I? Sorry, I was interrupted. So the reason why I like 7-10 is because of the fact that this episode shows Damon in the Phoenix Stone. We get to see for ourselves what is considered Damon's hell, as the purpose of the stone is. So basically for Damon, he's fully aware of what's happening, except he's forced to live the same day back in his human days in the Civil War. So I guess you can say it's Groundhog Day for Damon, where he's reliving the same day. It's basically pretty much the day he pretty much decided to go AWOL from the war. The reason why he makes that decision is under the guise of getting back to Stefan, who had written to him about Valerie leaving him, and the only way Damon was able to go home on leave, essentially, was if he was able to gather these resistors, or these deserters who were hiding in a nearby house. So apparently the first time around, we got to see how it truly played out, or what really happened that day. And then we get to see it relived over and over again, with Damon trying to figure out what was the best way that would stop this loophole from happening. And we got to see Henry in many different ways reacting to how Damon, who's not really supposed to be acting like Damon was supposed to, how he originally was supposed to, try to react to that. So Henry, as you can remember, he was originally one of the tomb vampires that we meet in season 1. So I thought it was fantastic to see Henry again, because it was a really great blast from the past, because when I first saw him, I was like, he looks very familiar. And it wasn't until it clicked later on that he was one of the tomb vampires, which I believe John Gilbert had killed towards the end of the season 1. So it was great to see Henry again, and just to see his relationship with human Damon back in the war. So there was that. But moving on, number 3. What was, I guess it's going to be episode 721, titled Requiem for a Dream. I think I said that right. But basically, this episode focuses on Bonnie fighting against this new huntress instinct she has now been forced upon after Damon got Raina to transfer her last life force to a dying Bonnie, not realizing that by doing that, that also transferred Raina's destiny as the huntress onto Bonnie, forcing her to have this strong supernatural desire to kill vampires, pretty much like the Brother of the Five, and how Jeremy had that kind of instinct with him. So 721 basically focused on Bonnie, who's pretty much forcing herself to stay asleep so that she isn't awake killing everyone she knows, which is vampires. She fell in love with Enzo, who's a vampire. Her best friend Caroline is a vampire. Stephanie and Damon, vampires as well. At this point, she's angry at Damon, but she had considered him to be one of her very close friends, so she's very conflicted, and she's pretty much forced herself to stay asleep so that she doesn't hurt anybody, but everybody's trying to get her awake so that she at least continues to fight for her life. And what I really liked about this episode was how Damon gets Bonnie to wake up. There might become some controversy between how he does this, but what I really liked about it was the fact that Damon goes into Bonnie's head, like the others have done before, to try to get her to wake up, and it's on Elena's porch. But the way he gets Bonnie to wake up is not through reasons of love and why she should come back. He brings out the utter hatred she has for him and what they had for each other from the very beginning of meeting each other to what was been brewing for the last 3 years from her. He brought up that hatred, and he made it to the point that she hated him so much that she would wake up and go hunt him down and kill him and end his words. Now, people might say that how Damon went about it was very cruel, which is something also Bonnie didn't deserve, as it brought up some very harsh truths as well about their relationship over the past 7 seasons. But what I liked was how Damon knew just what to say in order to get her to wake up. Yes, he could have gone it a better way, but the way I see it is that Damon saw everybody else trying to use kind words and support and love to try to get Bonnie to wake up, and yet they failed. So for me, I looked at it as a way of Damon using the opposite to get her to wake up, since the other 2 ways, why continue doing the same thing if you're not getting the result you needed? You know what I mean? So for me, I understood why Damon went towards the hate in order to get her to wake up. It was just so surprising how really spot on he hit it, how really accurate he hit it on the nail with that. And then the reason why also is because later on, when he's actually fighting her in the forest, he brings up his absolute admiration and love for Bonnie and their connection to Elena, and how it's really a total 180 if you were just to watch the 1 episode. But for Damon in that forest to pretty much come to the point where he's trying to bring up how Bonnie is so strong, how she's overcome so much, how she's transformed into so many different things and come out of that, and then to have them brought to her makeshift gravesite at that stump, and then pretty much have him stop fighting her and say that he understands her instinct to kill him at this moment, and all he ever wanted to tell her was what he has grown to love about her. Because we have to remember, from season 1, these two hated each other. And then over the years, their hatred kind of went on to tolerance. And it wasn't until they got stuck in the prison world in season 6 that they formed a close bond of friendship between each other, which was then shattered when Damon decided to go to sleep for 3 years and leave Bonnie behind, essentially thinking that he's never going to see Bonnie again, which he feels as betrayal. Understandable. But just to see that whole range and how far they've come, and just to see him bring up both the good and the bad between them in that one episode is what I really liked about it, and it's why it's number 3. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I pretty much spent a lot longer than I needed to on that one episode. But moving on to favorite moment number 2 for me has to be episode 715, titled I Would For You, and episode 716, Days of Future Past. Why these 2 episodes as number 2? These 2 episodes is pretty much where the present meets the future, or the future meets the past. This is what it means. 715 was the episode where we say goodbye to Damon. Damon makes the decision to go desiccate himself in a coffin, pretty much fall asleep until 60 years have gone by and he can wake up when Elena wakes up. Essentially, pretty much in his mind, he's thinking that if he's out of the picture, then no one else he cares for would be in trouble because of him. Not thinking of the fact that now that Stefan was marked by Reina's sword, that essentially that would mean that when Damon wakes up, Stefan has a finite amount of time left with Reina after him. Not thinking that. Also, Damon only wakes up when when Elena wakes up. That means Bonnie's gonna be dead. So that means he's never gonna see Bonnie again. So this kind of, same with Alark. Alark's human, so he's gonna be aging 6 years from now. He's gonna be what? In his 80s, in his 90s. Who knows how old Alark is right now. But, so pretty much everyone Damon knows is gonna be pretty either dead or pretty old, except for the vampires. Essentially, theoretically speaking, but he doesn't care because all he thinks about is taking himself out of the equation, save everybody his trouble, so that he can wait for Elena. So, what I liked about the episode is just Damon coming to that decision, and then what his final goodbyes were to Stefan, Alark, and Bonnie. We don't even know what his goodbyes were for Bonnie, or we know what she said to him, which is pretty powerful, and how she tells him why she thinks he shouldn't do it. But we never even know what he wrote in the letter to her. So there's that. But also immediately after that, when we see Damon go into the coffin to say goodbye, we get all of the flash forwards that we've gotten in the previous episodes, all shown sequentially together to the point that it kind of catches up, so that we are met in the very end, where we're 3 years in the future. We're essentially in their new present day. So that is what I kind of liked about it. And then 716 is us in Damon's shoes trying to figure out what the hell has happened in the last 3 years. We already have a bit of a glimpse of what he woke up to with all the flash forwards, but now we get to figure out what's happened to everybody, where they've all been, why they're on opposite sides of each other, which I thought was pretty great as well. So I really liked how we got to go through that time transition with Damon, which is what I really liked. So moving on to honorable mentions. These are the ones that didn't make the top 5, but I thought they should be mentioned for obvious reasons. The one thing I really liked about the season was the theme of flash forwards, flashbacks. For the first 15 episodes of the season, we got a lot of flash forwards. Either we got one at the beginning and one at the end of the episode, or we got at least one flash forward to jump us 3 years into the future. And then from 716 to 722, instead, we would have these flashbacks of what has happened in those 3 years in between, to kind of fill in the gaps of what's been happening to our characters in that time jump. So I really like that concept. It definitely kept on an air of mystery, trying to figure out the pieces of how they got from point A to point B, or what happened in the middle that got them to where they were. So I really liked that. It was very interesting new play to do in this season. But another honorable mention has to be 703, titled Age of Innocence, and this was the episode we got to see 1863 flashbacks, particularly of how Stefan met heretic Valerie, who was just a witch at the time, or I guess she was just a siphon, like Kai at the time, and we got to see their romance, how they're each other's first loves, and how essentially Valerie had become pregnant by Stefan, only to have the baby beaten out of her by Julian. Because of this loss, Valerie killed herself after Lily had healed her with her blood, which caused Valerie to reawaken as a vampire, but be the very first heretic to be created. So that was the cause for that. What I really liked was the romance between the two. This was all before Stefan met Catherine, all while Damon was off in the Civil War. So I really liked that, and it had me rooting for them, and it was really sad to hear about the death of the baby. If the baby had survived somehow, that was another whole bunch of possibilities possible out there, that maybe Stefan did have another line, did have a descendant directly from him. So there's so many possibilities that were shown, yet dashed because of Julian. So there's that. Another moment I have to mention is 707, titled Mommy Dearest, and this was the Thanksgiving episode. This episode focused mainly on, there's the timer, it focused mainly on the Salvatore secrets back in their human days, and we got to see flashbacks of little Damon and Stefan with Lily before she was killed by consumption. So we got to see just what the dynamic was between Lily and Giuseppe, just what it was for Damon and Stefan as little kids, and how their dynamic was with their parents. So it was really interesting to see that. It was really interesting to see just how much Lily knew of what was happening with the men in her family, and just how she pretty much seemed to repeat her mistakes with Julian. So that was pretty cool in itself. Another mention has to be 717, titled I Went to the Woods. Now this one was one to be mentioned because this is the episode where Damon is searching for a temporarily human Stefan. The reason why Stefan is human is because after being ejected from the Phoenix Stone due to its destruction, he got put into a dead body nearby, just happened to be human. Because it was human, Stefan's kind of human. Because he's human and stuck in the winter of Arkansas, I think it was, Damon now is rushing to get to Stefan before their 48 hours are up. Kind of like what happened with Vampire Florence and human Joe's dead body. She didn't last more than 3 days. So what I liked about that episode was the phone call between Damon and Stefan, and just what they really talked about, what they hashed out as they tried to find each other before the time ran out. So I really liked that. So it's definitely something to mention. And the last honorable mention, I didn't think I had so many of these, was 720, titled Kill 'Em All. What I really liked about this was that pretty much the focus was hunting down all the Phoenix vampires and killing them. And what I liked is the fact that we got a whole bunch of different groups working together to achieve this. Mainly one that I really liked was Damon and Enzo. It's great to see them working together. I've been wanting to see more scenes with them together since Enzo was introduced in season 5. So it's just great to see them working together, and later on we got to see them work towards saving Bonnie as a common goal. So I really like that. Now, moment we have been waiting for. Favorite moment number 1 has to be the crossover episode. That was 714, titled Moonlight on the Bayou. And that is the crossover episode with the originals. Because of this, the only character we really got to see was Klaus Michelson. And that was pretty much in the form of Stefan going to the Algiers safe house, hiding out in New Orleans, and then Klaus is there to kind of intercept, try to figure out what the hell Stefan's doing in his city. And then later on we got a phone call with Klaus and Caroline, and we really learned that Klaus has been keeping up with Caroline, and knowing about Liz's death, knowing about the fact that, I guess he found out about the twins from Stefan. But it was really interesting to see that conversation happening. It's definitely long overdue since they haven't talked to each other since episode 511 of Vampire Diaries, the 100th episode. So it was really great to see that happen. And it was a great way to set up the reason why Stefan was in New Orleans, since he is in the crossover episode of the originals, with Stefan being the only Vampire Diaries character that crossed over. Minus Reina, she's kind of a guest in both. So there's that. So I really like the fact that we got that kind of crossover, and it happens before the Vampire Diaries jumped forward 3 years, so there's that. But throughout all the flash forwards that we were getting all season with everything happening. I always try to see if there was any hints as to what was happening that could connect to the originals, because as you know, they had that whole prophecy that was happening with them. So there is that. So those were my top moments for season 7. What did you guys think about them? What were your own top 5 favorite moments of season 7? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it, as well as your own thoughts and theories about what or how you thought the whole season happened. In regards to season 8, like I mentioned before, season 8 is the final season of the Vampire Diaries, with only 16 episodes. I also found out that all the episode titles will be season 1 quotes, so that would be pretty cool. The premiere, which is on Friday, October 21st, 2016 at 8 p.m. is going to be titled Hello Brother, which, as you know, is Damon's very first line in the whole series. So that's pretty cool. As I know right now, I believe the first 3 titles are either Damon or Elena quotes. I believe 801 is a Damon quote from the pilot, 102 or 802 is an Elena quote from the pilot, and then I believe 803 is a Damon quote from the season 1 finale. So I believe that is what it is. It will all be on my Tumblr page. Check out that with the link down below, or the link for my page will be down below. You have to do a little bit of searching to find Vampire Diaries. It's not that hard to find though for me, or for you guys, because I made it pretty easy to find. So I quit. I'm going to stop rambling right now. But if you want more hints of what's happening in season 8, check out my Comic-Con recap video for it. Link for that is down below. Otherwise, check out the Vampire Diaries playlist that I have on my YouTube channel. It'll be there as well, so go check that out. That covers only the panel itself and the season 8 tidbits I was able to gather from that. So go check that out. What else? That's pretty much it. So I hope you guys like this video, so don't forget to like it, subscribe to my channel, check out my other videos like I mentioned, and don't forget to leave a comment below as well about your own favorite moments. Sorry if I keep repeating myself, but also don't forget to subscribe to my Tumblr page. I'm going to try to get back to reblogging and posting stuff for the TV shows as they come, like I used to. But everything comes back next month, so hopefully I can get back on schedule. Working has kind of made it a little bit difficult, but you gotta work to get money to survive in this world, so I have to deal with that. Also, don't forget to check out my live journal account for Vampire Diaries. I do a recap for that, so don't forget to check that out. Also, with my WordPress account up and running, that pretty much links to every other channel I pretty much have, so that's pretty much your first stop if you want to check anything else that I have going on. So there's that as well. And yeah, so only special tidbit I want to do about you guys seeing my face this time was the fact that I had a henna done. It's not really that, you can't really see it now. It's been like a week and a half since I've had it, but I got it done at a convention 2 weekends ago. This one was for Orphan Black, because he had the tattoo, and then this can't see it. This one right here is for Supernatural that I had done also in henna. This one's staying a lot longer, which I am glad for, since I like this one. This one is understandably fading faster because it's more exposed to things, so I understand that. But yeah, I really like it. Had great fun at the convention, and kind of why you're seeing my face right now, because I wanted to show it and kind of make a little memory of the fact that I had it when I made this. So yeah, I'm going to stop talking now. This is a lot longer than I thought it would be. But guys, tune in next month for I will come back with a recap video for the premiere episode. So until then, this is Mel wishing you a great day, great week wherever you are. Until next time, I can't talk. I'm so sorry. Until next time, guys. Bye for now. Bye.